You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, scientists say the planet Saturn's core is fuzzy. We'll explain.
Looking at 4 states so far, but we know we've got rain coming from the south. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, wait times at your local hospital ER increase. We find out what's behind the change. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. The White House says thousands of Americans remain in Afghanistan waiting to get out. 1,100 U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their families were evacuated yesterday. The Taliban says it's willing to allow people to get safely to Kabul's airport. But CBS News has learned several Americans have encountered dangerous conditions while trying to make it there. Top Republican legislators in Kansas accused Democratic Governor Laura Kelly's administration of illegally spending at least $86 million in federal COVID-19 relief funds by not getting their approval first. Governor Kelly's office did not respond to the letter from Senate President Ty Masterson, House Speaker Ron Rickman Jr., and the House and Senate Budget Committee chairs. In the letter, the lawmakers threatened to explore filing a lawsuit if the governor does not change course. The Republicans say a budget measure requires legislative leaders' consent for any spending of relief dollars starting July 1st. Kelly's office contends agencies already have the authority to spend relief funds. While the daily average of COVID cases may be down in the Joplin area, regional cases are still impacting Joplin hospitals, which in turn has led to an increase in ER wait times. Officials with Mercy Joplin say average ER wait times have nearly tripled in the last 6 months. To help offset that increase, the ER has made a few changes to procedures, like drawing labs while patients are still in the triage area waiting for a room. Officials say the most important thing to remember is despite the wait, they're still here to help.
I know people are frustrated. It is not our desire to make anyone wait. They're not waiting because we're not working hard or we don't want to see them. And the reality is, if you feel you have a need to come to the emergency room, we want you here. We want to be able to evaluate you and make sure that you're safe to go home if you can, or get you the treatment that you need.
Officials say increases in wait times to be admitted to the hospital from the ER have also happened. Times to get from the ER to a hospital room can be upwards of 4 hours or more. Missouri ranks 4th in the nation in COVID-19 deaths per capita, and that's according to recent data from the CDC. State Health Department says of 124 deaths reported on Tuesday, 86 were discovered in the department's weekly examination of death certificates from around the state. One of those deaths was in June, 52 in July, and 33 earlier this month. But 38 of the deaths were new, an unusually high one-day total. We've lost 2 more people in Joplin to COVID-19. The Joplin Health Department reports 2 men ages 60 and 87 have died with the virus. The latest deaths brings the city's total to 155. When you think of the planet Saturn, well, the word fuzzy probably doesn't come to mind. But that's how scientists are now describing what they think is at the core of the massive distant planet. Experts used to think the core was rocky, but that's changed. The so-called fuzzy description refers to what they now believe is a slushy mix of ice, rock, and metallic fluids, and a core that's larger than previously thought. Scientists reached this conclusion not by probing the inside of Saturn, but by studying its rings. They analyzed data gathered by NASA's Cassini spacecraft, concluding that ripples in Saturn's rings are caused by oscillations in the planet's interior.
I know it's got a lot of moons. I know that. Would I fall through it?
I don't know. I would think you would, but I wonder if it's just so close together that...
Yeah, I don't know. Smart people, help me out.
Would you fall or float, or what would be the...
That's a great thing about being an idiot. You can, and having a camera, you can just be like, smart people, please help me out. I don't know the answer to that. We haven't even got to Mars.
Send Michael a message on Messenger.
Right. I can get right back to you on that. I don't know why I'm worried about Saturn. We haven't even gotten to Mars. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's habitable. We'd be okay there.
Oh, give us a couple hundred years. We'll be talking about it.
Maybe.
It won't matter. You and I'll still be doing the morning news. It'll just be artificial intelligence and robots that are doing it.
We'll be here forever.
Tanya and I are cryogenically frozen fly while the robots are taking over. That's gonna
Good,
be
you
great.
took the fly away from me. It's been buzzing around me all morning.
Oh, well, because it knows what I'm about to say. All hail the glow cloud. There we are as it rises outside of Television City. Really has been just a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday start. 67 in Carthage and in Iola. Iola, a nice little bump up. Miami's at 68 and Pittsburgh at 67. All the rain has stayed down to our south. We have not had any northerly lift as of yet. We've been talking about all the south action dealing with the humidity and the heavy amount of rain that they have in North Texas. And the lift did take it into central Oklahoma and move it from west to east, but now it's dominating Arkansas. Even our far northwestern counties of Arkansas have yet to pick up any morning precipitation. So far, so good. Got outdoor activities. Looks like we are going to be good to go, aka Missouri Southern Community Fair from 10 to 1 at the Oval. Here we go from the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Remember, we are still keeping tabs on what is post-tropical Fred, a low-pressure system squarely over the Ohio River right now is where it's centered, and flash flood warnings all throughout the northeastern section of the United States. We also, too, have Tropical Storm Grace that we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout this week. It looks like it's going to hit the Yucatan and then head towards central Mexico. Our weather trend for today, eventually picking up some rain for the late morning, early afternoon hours. And there's our lift as it works from south to north, gets above I-44 for the afternoon. Out west, not a whole lot of action as far as the precip goes. That changes, though, Thursday morning. Yeah, we get a little widespread and we get some pretty good bands of heavy rain on Thursday as well. After that, Thursday's our best shot for rain. Then we just get hot. 90s by the weekend, mid-90s by the beginning of next week.
Well, coming up, a warning from doctors. Do not use a popular horse medication to treat COVID-19. And later, today is the third day of high school football practice in Kansas. And this morning, we're catching up with the Columbus Titans and the Riverton Rams. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Hi, I'm Scott.
Doctors warn against using a horse dewormer as a COVID treatment. Ivermectin, an antiparasitic, is gaining popularity on social media as a potential treatment for COVID-19. But how people may be getting it is what has doctors concerned. KOAM's Zach Dodge explains.
There's one particular product that Aaron Woody just can't keep in stock.
I've gone from selling probably 4 to 5 tubes a week to upwards of 15 to 20.
Ivermectin, an anti-parasitic drug used in horses, is selling as fast as she can get it in. And it's not her normal customers, farmers and ranchers, who are buying it.
If they're not able to answer some of those basic questions on how many head of cattle do you have, what size of cattle are you using it on, I get a gut feeling instantly that they're using it for off-label reasons.
The drug is trending on Facebook and has gained popularity as a possible treatment for COVID-19.
It's actually a frequent question we get asked.
Dr. Farin Marion at Mercy Hospital in St. Louis explains there are actually 2 versions of the drug. The pill version for humans is FDA approved for certain conditions, but not for COVID-19, with the FDA saying they have not reviewed data to support the use of ivermectin in COVID patients.
The reason for that, again, is that the solid science that we base strong recommendations on is just not there right now.
There are clinical trials underway in other countries for the human version, which can only be obtained with a prescription. What has doctors really concerned, though, is people using the version that's sold for livestock, with the FDA and doctors saying it's dangerous because of the large dosage that's used in animals.
It is a nerve active agent, which means that it actually works on parasites by paralyzing their muscles. So it is in very large doses. It can be potentially neurotoxic.
And now several stores say prices are more than double and the product is out of stock.
We're currently out right now.
There's been an increased demand on it.
Yes, there has been an increase in demand,
making it harder for farmers to get what they need.
It drops my sales with my cattle producers when I can't get it in stock because they can't come here and purchase it directly, or they have to order such a large quantity that they'll never use it in 5 years.
In Jasper County, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Again, doctors recommend against using ivermectin as a treatment without a prescription at this time. The FDA has approved the antiviral drug remdesivir for adults and certain young patients who are hospitalized. The agency has also issued authorization for monoclonal antibodies to be used to treat COVID patients who are at high risk of needing hospitalization. Well, take a bite out of Cinnabon's newest treat. Cinnabon's iconic Bon Bites are back. The snack takes a fun spin on the company's famous cinnamon rolls by baking them inside of another classic dessert, chocolate chip cookies. Bon Bites are returning to Cinnabon locations for the first time since 2019. But don't fret, this sugar overloaded goodie is expected to stay on the menu through November.
You a Cinnabon fan?
Yes, I am.
Are you?
Wish I had closer access to is there one in the Joplin area?
I don't know. I'm most familiar with Cinnabon is because, are you familiar with the show? Are you a fan of the show Better Call Saul?
No.
Jimmy ends up working at a Cinnabon in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay.
That's about my extent of it right there. Shout out to those of you that know Cinnabon from that and are not as cultured as me, because I don't think I've ever been to one. All right, Tanya, live look over 7th and Rangeline. We're going to talk a little bit about humidity here, as it's up to 93% right now. We haven't seen that number this high in the morning, really since our last heat wave. It's very comfortable, though. We're ranging anywhere from about 67 to 70 degrees. So here we go. It's not only, getting us pretty good, but now we've seen, how often do we see western and central Kansas and the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma that humid this early in the morning? It's just abnormal, and everything's coming in from the Gulf this time of year. All the rain has stayed down to our south. We haven't had any worries as of yet. We will see a little growing cloud cover and have temperatures in the mid-80s. But more importantly, let's talk about our rain that's coming today, as we finally will push in from south to north. So it'll start south of I-44, make its way up in the northern portion of southwest Missouri for the afternoon and evening hours, and then it's pretty much done about sunset. Then we reload for Thursday morning. This is the one that's going to be much more widespread, with temperatures back up into the mid to high 80s. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this. Columbus Titans in the first week of football practice. Columbus has been on the roll the past 2 years, but after a quick exit from the playoffs, KOAM Sports Director Jacob Leonard shows us how this is a team excited to get back to work and make it all right this fall.
The Columbus Titans are 16-3 the last 2 years and still have a chip on their shoulder.
Our kids are really still hungry. The season didn't end like we wanted it to last year. Had a great beginning, won a district title for the first time in several years, but we're still hungry for more.
The 2020 season came to a disappointing end, with the undefeated Titans falling to Girard in the first round of the playoffs.
I didn't stop thinking about that loss, for probably 2 weeks after. It hurt, but it was good for us, in the long run.
That last game is going to haunt me for a while. I'm going to use it as motivation and just get better and better throughout the year.
We talked about, learn from this mistake. We failed, and we just have to know that we've got to do some things different to get better, and it's really kind of drove us to have a different mindset.
This year's team is loaded with talent. Offensively, Columbus is led by returning starting quarterback Jackson Harity and running back Gabe Martin, who rushed for 1,200 yards and 17 touchdowns last year.
We're going to run the ball. I can move it well on my legs, and you know what Gabe can do. Everybody knows that. And then our line, there's some dogs. They can move some bodies around, but we can still get it done through the air. We got guys like Cole and Midget. They can catch any ball you throw up to them. I got a lot of trust in them when I throw it.
Our offensive identity is always going to be on our offensive line first. They're the first guys to the party all the time, but we've got to, establish the run game. Jackson's done a fantastic job leading our offense, and we're just going to go as our offensive line goes.
On defense, the team returns its leading tackler and linebacker Trent Smith and defensive lineman Cody Schock. Both were first-team All-CNC selections last season.
We're really confident on defense. That's what we really stand out in, because it's a mentality of all gas, no brakes. That's what we have on defense. So I'm really proud of everyone up front and everyone behind us, behind me and the 3 men up front, to just work harder and harder and show everyone what we can do.
Titans' first game of the season, September 3rd, on the road against Frontenac. Also, it's practice for the Riverton Rams as Riverton's found some momentum. Have won 10 games in the last 2 years. That after winning just 5 games the previous 3 years combined. So the Rams have some experience back this year, and that includes starting quarterback Walker Terry and All-State selection Derek Larison. Larison at tailback and linebacker. Larison says it's a group of guys that's been playing together for a long time, and they're hoping that the chemistry pays off this fall.
I've been playing with some of these guys my entire life since 4th grade. I love them to death, and we're a small little town. We've been around for each other. We've been beside each other in every single class. We have bonds that's just different than a bigger school. It's just a little different than what a big school with 60 people in your class. We have 10 people in our class sometimes. I know every single name. We're around each other 24/7.
On the Missouri side, week 2 of practice for the Carl Junction Bulldogs is CJ, just 9 days away from the season opener at home, where the Bulldogs will play Willard on the 27th. 6 last year, finished up as the district runner-up in the postseason. Yeah, they lost some talented guys to graduation, including starting quarterback Alex Baker, so they're going to be on the young side this year. But a week into practice, some of those young players are already making an impression.
I think there's a lot of kids that we didn't really expect to be, components of our offense and defense this year that have really stepped up and taken the role that the guys that graduated last year left for us. So I think that's been really cool to see. It's really important that we get younger guys that want to play and know how to play and that care for the sport.
We're really trying to be the toughest team out here. We're small, but we're quick, and we're really emphasizing on the toughness side of it.
Full Carl Junction season preview on the Pigskin Preview. Now I say on the Pigskin Preview, not in the Pigskin Preview, because we're online now. KOAMnewsnow.com/pigskin. Previews from Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma high schools, all of our junior colleges and universities. All you do is click on the team page. It's all the content you'd normally see in the magazine. It's the 2020 review, the returning players, the schedules, and of course, the 2021 outlooks. Now, here's the awesome thing. On the bottom of each page, whenever our sports department brings home highlights from your team this year, well, those highlights are going to be on your team page. You click on it, you can go back throughout the entire year to keep up with some of those past memories from your favorite 4-state team. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's 4-state hero, Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Smith in the U.S. Air Force. The Cherryville, Kansas native joined the 511th Tactical Fighter Squad in 1967. He fought in Vietnam, the Philippines, and in Thailand until 1970. To Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Smith, we thank you, our 4-state hero. The average daily number of new COVID cases within the city of Joplin is down, but those numbers are still up across the region, putting a strain on Joplin hospitals. That's leading to an increased wait time at the emergency room. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with Mercy Joplin about what they're seeing.
Wait times at ERs are never fun, and when you're not feeling well, they seem to last forever. However, due to the increase in regional COVID cases, that's led to a noticeable increase in local ER wait times.
2 years ago, our wait times were under 20 minutes, and that's the average, coming in the ER. In the last 6 months, we're 65 minutes or longer. So that's more than tripling your wait times in the ER.
Rhonda Schmidt-O'Toole is the Director of Emergency Services for Mercy Joplin. She says wait times to get into a room in the ER aren't the only increase. If you need to be admitted to the hospital, expect to wait longer.
It used to be you got admitted, we had a bed open upstairs, and we sent you upstairs. Now the average wait time for my patients waiting for beds is about 250 to 300 minutes. So that's about 3 or 4 hours that we're waiting for a bed upstairs. And like I said, sometimes that goes much longer into 12, 16 hours.
Schmidt-O'Toole says they've made a few changes to procedures in the ER to help speed things up a bit.
We've started processes of drawing labs and doing x-rays and things like that while people are in triage waiting to get into a room, trying to at least get the treatment started. And so then expediting that care once they get to the room.
While a wait of any kind can be frustrating, Schmidt-O'Toole says, be patient.
I know people are frustrated. It is not our desire to make anyone wait. They're not waiting because we're not working hard or we don't want to see them. And the reality is if you feel you have a need to come to the emergency room, we want you here. We want to be able to evaluate you and make sure that you're safe to go home if you can, or get you the treatment that you need.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Officials with Mercy, McCune, Brooks, and Carthage say they've also seen a significant increase in their wait times. Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, we've got tips to help send your kids back to school prepared without breaking the family budget. And Hugh Jackman discusses his latest movie and how it resonates in mental health awareness. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back. The hardest part.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. The White House says thousands of Americans remain in Afghanistan waiting to get out. 1,100 U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their families were evacuated yesterday. The Taliban says it's willing to allow people to get safely to Kabul's airport. But CBS News has learned several Americans have encountered dangerous conditions while trying to make it there. The average daily number of new COVID cases within the city of Joplin is down, but those numbers are still up across the region, putting a strain on Joplin hospitals. That's leading to an increased wait time in the emergency room. Officials with Mercy Joplin say average ER wait times have nearly tripled in the last 6 months. To help offset that increase, the ER's made a few changes to procedures, like drawing labs while patients are still in the triage area waiting for a room. Doctors warn people not to use a horse dewormer to treat COVID-19. Ivermectin, an antiparasitic, has gained popularity on social media as a potential treatment for COVID-19. And now farm stores are seeing increased demand for the version that's used to treat worms in livestock. The FDA says that version could be very harmful or deadly because of the high dosage that's given to animals. U.S. Congressman Billy Long stopped in Joplin yesterday to talk health care with leaders at Freeman Hospital. The Congressman visited the Ozark Center to discuss the need for medical residency programs in rural areas like the 4 states.
Well, Kathy McMorris Rogers has a bill right now in front of Congress. She's the ranking member on Energy and Commerce, my committee. I'm on the Healthcare Subcommittee. And so I'm going to talk to Kathy first thing Monday morning when we get back out to D.C. and find out exactly what her program does. And one thing that we did in Congress that was good, there's a lot of things we do that isn't good, but one of the things that we did do was good before COVID was we put funding out there for mental health and for telehealth.
Congressman Long is running for U.S. Senate. He's looking to replace outgoing Republican Senator Roy Blunt in a race that currently includes former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. Pitt State hosts its community fair. The event yesterday was for new and returning students, helping them learn more about the community and what local businesses have to offer. Vendors from the area set up on booths on the Oval.
Help continue to strengthen the relationship between Pitt State and the local community. A lot of our students didn't necessarily get as much opportunity to interact last year, so this has been a really good step forward with that, particularly this fall as we have new and returning students.
Last year's PSU Community Fair was canceled, so organizers say this year's get-together was all the more fun.
And of course, we've got another community fair coming up today at one of our universities. That'll take place at Missouri Southern State University on the campus in Joplin, and it is going to be an outdoor affair because this rain, it is going to hold off. It is going to hold off. Anyway, if you're interested in stopping by, it is from 10 to 1 this morning. And so, yeah, the countdown is on. I'm sure they're beginning their setup. We got two and a half hours till it starts. we can hold off. I feel pretty good about it because, I mean, we're talking just a couple miles away from campus right there at 7th and Rangeline. It's been an absolutely gorgeous morning and very comfortable as well, as right now our temperatures sit at 67 degrees. And believe it or not, Joplin's actually dropped 3 degrees pre-sunrise and did that with even without cloud cover. So it's been kind of curious. One thing that we knew was coming, that was the humidity, as this thing is now up to 93%. We'll take a look at our humidity here in just a little bit. Let's conquer some temperatures. 69 in Monette and Independence, 68 in Nevada and Pittsburgh, and throw Miami and Grove in at 68 as well. There's the Gulf moisture and all the humidity working its way far to the west of where we would normally see it at this early in the morning. And while it will drop, of course, during the afternoon, we'll probably only bottom out about 67%. To put that into perspective, last week, during the mornings, we were only at 67%. You know, last week is when we were falling down to about 30 to 40%. So it is going to make a little bit of a difference here for a sticky afternoon. Skywatch storm tracker, we got all the rain down to our south and to our east. Starting to try to pick up some right there in the north central portion of southeast Kansas, but everybody else staying on the dry side. We're seeing this slowly make a little northerly lift. And so everything that was rolling along I-40 getting very, very close now to our highlighted counties. Just not quite there as of yet. And it's a slow mover, so we don't have a whole lot of problems. Where they do have problems is the East Coast, and that is because of the post-tropical storm that is now the low-pressure system known as Fred right on the Ohio River and pushing all the way through the northeastern portion of the United States to the point where they have flash flood warnings that actually stretch from Virginia all the way up to Vermont. And you see those are supposed to expire at 11 this morning. Let's hope that they do. There's Tropical Storm Grace headed toward the Yucatan Peninsula, and we've got another tropical storm now on the letter H with Henri hanging out in the mid-Atlantic. Our weather trend is going to lift us up into the mid-80s. Now let's talk about our rain for today. Moving in from the south, and really for the afternoon and evening hours, pretty scattered, but then get a break. Well, get a break till Thursday morning. Then we got some heavier rain that wants to move in right there throughout Thursday night as well. And then, hello 90s, because they're coming for us for the weekend. Be back with our Something to Talk About in Instapoll results when we resume the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Let's roll our Something to Talk About this morning as we're asking you if COVID-19 and the Delta variant is changing your travel plans, because in a recent survey, 27% of respondents said that they had postponed a trip. We're going to let Errol Burnett explain exactly what's going on with travel plans across the nation.
It was really kind of heartbreaking to not be able to finally go.
On Wednesday, Cotton Star of Houston was expecting to see her friends in San Diego for the first time in a long time.
I'm a high-risk category, so I was a little concerned with what was going to happen during that travel. I was going to be exposed to a lot of people.
It's been basically 2 years now since I've been able to see them.
Kim Hoff outside Denver has been waiting even longer, planning to meet her friends at DragonCon, a pop culture convention in Atlanta next month.
When it got to the point of the rates just skyrocketing in the last week or so, I thought, no, I'm sorry. There's no level of logistics that will make me feel okay if I bring this back with me.
Both canceled their long-awaited trips due to the spread of the Delta variant.
Airfare is on the downtrend.
Economist Adit Damodaran with the travel app Hopper says summer flight demand has flattened from pandemic highs, which is now leading to lower prices. But his service is finding since July, one aspect of travel is up. There's been a 33% increase in people buying cancelable tickets.
People want to have that option to cancel if for any reason, something happens, the situation develops in a way where they can't take that trip.
Another potential pitfall, airlines cutting flights. In June and July, domestic air cancellations were above their 1% average, which translates to 10,000 cancellations in July alone. For the number of people canceling trips, a sizable number still plan to head out somewhere. According to a recent survey, 26% of respondents say they do in fact plan to travel in October. Errol Barnett, CBS News at Reagan National Airport.
Our specific question to you is, has the Delta variant affected your upcoming travel plans? And we've seen a role reversal from where we were earlier in the show, as now 55% of you say no, it hasn't affected. Earlier, the yeses were as high as 65%. Take part by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back right after this.
Summertime spending lost steam last month. According to the Commerce Department, retail sales dropped 1.1% in July. That was higher than expected. Consumers pulled back as concerns over the Delta variant spread and government stimulus subsided. Despite last month's drop, Walmart managed to turn in a better than expected quarterly report card. The world's largest retailer brought in more than $141 billion in revenue in the second quarter. Walmart says groceries and back-to-school shopping drove sales, along with items like party supplies and luggage, as families return to some pre-pandemic activities. That back-to-school shopping could break your bank account. Jackie Ibanez has more on how much money experts predict Americans will spend this season and how to potentially avoid paying more than you need to.
If you're getting ready to do some back-to-school shopping, buyer beware, it'll cost you. The National Retail Federation says the average household will spend roughly $850 on supplies this year alone. But it doesn't mean folks are getting more bang for their buck.
An American family's purchasing power has shrunk. So right now prices are rising twice as fast as paychecks.
Rising inflation is having a serious impact on the price of many goods.
This has become the number one worry of families, but of small Main Street businesses as well.
And while Americans are expected to spend a collected $37 billion this school season, researchers say laptops, clothes, and shoes are the big hot ticket items. But with the pandemic impacting manufacturing centers, certain goods may be in limited supply. Experts say if you turn to online shopping, watch out for price gouging.
This is where the scammers are finding the opportunity. How can I make the most money off of this situation where people are at a disadvantage?
Meanwhile, psychologists say be on the lookout for signs your child may be exhibiting symptoms of anxiety, adding it could be difficult for young kids to readjust to in-person classes after learning remotely for so long.
These kids have not been around other kids. You know, it's almost like when a new child goes to daycare for the first time.
And when getting kids reacclimated to crowds, experts say start small by going to a restaurant or perhaps taking them back to school shopping with you. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Well, as the school year starts, KOAM is listening to your questions and getting answers from local education and health experts. You can submit questions on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. And while you're there, you can check out previous stories we've covered concerning getting back to school safely. Again, that's at KOAMnewsnow.com. The Transportation Security Administration extends the federal transportation mask mandate into the middle of January. TSA made the public announcement on extending the requirement yesterday. The mandate was set to expire originally September 13th. The FAA says it's received upwards of 2,800 reports of passengers violating the mandate so far this year. As the Delta variant spreads, the National Park Service announces it's immediately enforcing new mask rules. Visitors, employees, and contractors are now required to wear masks inside all Park Service buildings and even in crowded outdoor spots. The rule applies regardless of a person's vaccination status or transmission levels within the community. The Park Service said it's following the latest science and guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Well, Tinder is set to roll out new ID verification on its dating app. The company hopes the new move will help void off catfishing. The new feature allows daters to upload a photo of documentation like a license or a passport, which will then be cross-verified with the photos in their app. For now, the feature will be voluntary in the U.S. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Hugh Jackman leads the twists and turns of the new thriller Reminisce. We spoke with the star about his new film, Memories of His Own, and he reminisces about the fun of feuding with Ryan Reynolds. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Where is she? Where is she?
Hugh Jackman leads the new sci-fi action thriller Reminiscence.
It just went to places I never expected, and I love that for the audience.
Jackman stars as an investigator accessing lost memories, whose life is changed when a new client has him diving into his own.
No, put me back.
The actor spoke about how the film in ways resonates with mental health awareness, especially right now, with its themes of finding happy memories, but also living in the present.
It's very easy to think, oh, if I could just live in the past, before all these worries, back in the day when everything felt normal or whatever it was, the movie sort of cautions against that and reminded that no matter how hard life is, and certainly is very difficult right now, many people, that you have to be constantly creating memories. And you can only do that by being present.
He shares memories which always bring him joy are about family.
I was one of 5 kids, going back to some of those moments, to the birth of my kids, to getting married, to falling in love.
We were planning for the future.
And as he releases his new movie, it just so happens Ryan Reynolds has a new film out too. So, yes, the fun, friendly feud continues.
It should be an Olympic sport, trolling Ryan Reynolds, right? And I'm pretty sure I'll be up there for the gold. Australia got the Olympics for 2032, so I've got 12 years to get that in there.
All you have to do is follow my voice.
Reminiscence is in theaters and HBO Max August 20th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's not playing a superhero right now, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just hadn't seen him in a while. That threw me for a loop there. I'm not going to say he's gaunt. He looks good. We're used to.
I miss the sideburns.
I know, and that probably makes him look a little bit bigger than
thicker,
than what he is.
Oh yeah, but I think he has. I think you're right.
I might bring back the sideburns so that I look a little bit bigger.
Oh look, Michael, we're reminiscing on Hugh Jackman's sideburns. Okay, sorry, I had to.
They just need to give me a set of symbols over here so I can do the old rim shot. 67 degrees over 7th and Rangeline right now. It's been a very calm and pleasant Wednesday morning. 69 in Pittsburgh. Miami jaunting up to 70. Look at Stockton. How about saying, hey, I'm going to make it up to 71. We've been talking about the humidity all morning. It is going to be a sticky afternoon. The rain getting closer and closer, but still, for the most part, staying down to the south and out to the east. Got a little bit trying to pop up there in between Chanute and Parsons, but it's going to be light and nothing going to affect the morning travel. So let's talk about what's out to the east, because there we are with a low pressure system that was at one point in time Tropical Storm Fred, lifting rain and torrential flooding all the way from Virginia up to Vermont. Matter of fact, we got new flash flood warnings that you see blinking right there that are now taking effect. We also have Tropical Storm Grace. Southern edge of Cuba is where it's affecting and headed toward the Yucatan Peninsula. And Henri, sitting out there as a tropical storm, wants to almost make a U-turn before it becomes a category. But tropical storm warnings now in effect for the mid-Atlantic coast. Our weather trend will go mid-80s today. That's not too bad. Let's talk about rain. Here we go. A little southerly lift, as we like to call it, forces that precipitation for the afternoon up through southwest Missouri. Farther west and north you get today, you're dry. And then we get widespread activity on Thursday, including some bouts of some heavier rain. Still nothing severe, and incrementally getting hotter before the 90s hit us over the weekend. We'll be back. Wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The White House says thousands of Americans remain in Afghanistan waiting to get out. 1,100 U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their families were evacuated yesterday. The Taliban says it's willing to allow people to get safely to Kabul's airport. But CBS News has learned several Americans have encountered dangerous conditions while trying to make it there. CBS News has learned the Biden administration will recommend COVID booster shots for Americans who receive Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. They'll be available starting 8 months after recipients were fully vaccinated. They could begin as early as next month if the FDA grants approval. And Storm Fred brought more damage to the southeast, including this tree through a roof in Americus, Georgia. The storm system knocked down trees and power lines. Heavy rain also toppled trees in the western part of North Carolina. Let's check in with Mike with a final look at your forecast.
Got a while before we kick in any rain. Temperatures in the mid-80s today, but we will see scattered showers for the afternoon and evening. More widespread rain on Thursday. And then we're already eyeballing those 90s that are going to be on us for the weekend and into next week.
Well, before we leave you this morning, we're going to head out to the Little League World Series in San Bernardino, California. That's where you'll find Hawaii's pitcher, Tyler Sindo. Now, why is this kid special? He can throw with both his left and his right hand. He actually has a 6-fingered glove to make the switch easier. Tyler pitched 3 innings and struck out 2 in Hawaii's win over California.
Ambidextrous, huh?
I like that. That's cool.
That's pretty cool. I wonder if he's a switch hitter.
I would think so.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with this story. All right, I want to thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
Welcome to Kitchen Essentials.